More broadly, I think it's an incredibly significant moment. I think it's something that should have happened a long time ago, obviously, but I think it's something that it means so much to so many. Just like the Cosby verdict meant so much to so many victims and survivors who will never have their day in court.
I was wondering, in a way, if, and I'm sure it's never easy to bear, but if what happened to you is not easy to bear, but there's strength in numbers.
There's definitely strength in numbers, and what's amazing is that I get so many messages. Probably at least 50% of my messages on Twitter or Instagram are from men and boys who've been hurt. So there's numbers and solidarity across all genders.
Now, when this happened to you in 1997, you did talk, you didn't shout from the rooftops, but you did talk to people about it. And nothing came of that, and in a way, you were damped down. And I wonder now, though, if you had even shouted from the rooftops, whether it would have the same impact, that society has changed in the last 20 years.
It's definitely changed in the last 20 years. It would not have had the same impact. It wouldn't have been anything. And I knew that then.
It might have damaged you even more, actually.
I knew that it would be, I would not be sitting here. I would not be sitting here.
You don't have the strength to, in a way, to be here.
It just wasn't time. It would be a blip, and it would continue to be a blip had it not been for refusing to let it be. You know, to literally say no more. We all know what's going on, right? And there are different levels of predation, for sure. But the rot at the top, that's what needs to be solved, because we've all worked in those places.
But one thing I would say is that, in a way, Hollywood, the media, politics, there's a certain profile, and in terms of Hollywood, obviously, a certain glamour. But I wonder, for many women who work in places that we don't even see on a daily basis, that work in factories, that work in hospitals, that work anywhere, that it's no less difficult for them.
It is no less difficult for them.
It's more difficult, in a way.
I don't know, more. It could be quite equal, really. I think...
It's having a voice.
It's having a voice, but I think that's what's so great about Twitter. And I think now that, you know, anybody can use it. And anybody could tweet at their CEO, say a McDonald's, if that particular franchise is something's going on there. There are ways.
Do you really think that would have an impact not only on the company but on the person themselves, that they would actually be lauded for it? I feel sometimes that it's still a huge risk for women.
It's a huge risk for women. It's a huge risk for anybody.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk, period. You have to gamble, and it's a tough one. But I think what's starting to happen is that the protection and the complicity for the people that are perpetrating will be receding.
Also, generationally, do you feel that there is a generation who's under 25 that actually is not prepared to even countenance any of this anymore?
I completely agree with that. I think that, you know, time's up, really. But I think it's the younger, I feel like really my book and so much of what I do is not, a lot of people say, oh, is this for the younger generation? I kind of want to say, like, they're fine. It's actually the older ones. I'm trying to keep them from messing them up. You know, it's really about, but there was a message I got from a girl last night.
But I wonder if you think that truly, that rather than just being an extraordinary moment, because there actually is change, that you will see lasting change, or is there a terrible worry about, you know, people going back to square one?
I don't think that's possible. I don't think we can put this genie back in the bottle. I don't think, you know, there'll be a point where it's like a lot of things rolling out one after the other, somebody else, some, you know, person being outed, or people that have been protected for a very long time that are no longer being protected. And I think that will slow down at some point, certainly in media, when a lot of things have been cleaned. But I do think that women and people in general are finding a strength they did not have before.
But men also need to find that strength too, don't they? Because this is not going to work. Me Too, Time's Up is not going to work unless... And I wonder if you have been critical in the past about some men not taking the glory, but in a way, I think you've maybe said they haven't been quite as you know, for it as they should have been, as for change as they should have been.
I'd say publicly, probably not, but I think we're getting there. I think, you know, what I get message-wise on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, I would say I have at least 50% messages from men. And my thing is actually, my movement really is about thought and consciousness and intelligence. And I want men to be free from toxic masculinity very badly.
But also free to be able to have these conversations. Funnily enough, a broadcaster, a well-known broadcaster here, was saying that she feels now that it's okay for her to, as it were, to sort of ogle a half-dressed actor who is about to appear in a film, but it's not okay for a male reviewer to ogle a half-dressed woman. And I wonder, obviously, this is not talking about assault, it's talking about, as you say, degrees of different conversation. But if in a way that Me Too has got to navigate a reasonable way to talk to each other, and a reasonable way to have funny or frivolous conversations.
I don't know that it's okay for a woman to do that either. I would say that's not okay. In fact, I know someone right now is being sexually harassed by a woman. You know, a woman being sexually harassed by another woman. But it's just that there are less women in power to do it.
Yes, but it's about navigating new kind of conversations where we can actually, you know, be comfortable with each other and actually have fun sometimes.
I fully am on board with having fun, and I'm fully on board with people being free from being afraid and being abused.
Now, way back, and you talked about the fact that you really did not want, part of the reason you weren't using the name of the man you call the monster, was that you really, in any form of a, you know, I don't know, an obituary or whatever, you didn't want to have your name in the same sentence as his then. But I wonder if it's a different connotation now, and that actually, as you are kind of, you know, a champion for change, and as what's happening does unfold, it will not be such a bad thing to be mentioned in the same breath. What do you think about that?
I think you're correct. I think that the tables have turned on that. And one of the things, and I say it in my book back then, you know, when it happened, I knew that it would be a blip in the news and it would be in my obituary. Oh, that thing. And I wasn't willing to go out like that. In fact, I think it's best just to write your own obituary, to tell you the truth. But I think, you know, there has been so much pain to get here. You know, Me Too, every time someone says that, that's a lot of pain behind that. But it has given us a dialogue, a way to speak about, oh, you had that too, where we had nothing before. Not since the dawn of civilization, we've had nothing.
Rose, thank you very much.
Thank you.